Starting with the People Daily here. People Daily says that 2.1 billion shillings for schools cut. This is what's on the front page. It says that sagging under heavy weight of debt and bloated wage bill, Ruto's administration makes painful and drastic budget cuts in key ministries, including education. That's the story on the front page of the People Daily. But most importantly, we have got them here on the front page.
The three men.
The three men. We call them three wise men. I mean, it's that's now what's trending out. The three wise men.
The pillars of East Africa.
There you have it. We have got two Kenyans, Kenya One, and Raila Odinga, and of course the Mzee himself, Museveni. Yeah. And of course the meeting is because of the AUC chairperson seat that Raila Odinga is gunning for. Yeah. So Uganda is an integral part of this bargain system. So either way, they had to meet. And you see now, the meeting is courtesy of Museveni. What went through your mind when you saw these three gentlemen? And of course, the pictures went, viral around 6, 7 thereabout in the evening. Yeah. So everyone went to bed with so many things running through your mind and waking up with another thing. What do you make of this picture?
I think it unifies the East African region.
Yes.
Because Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, those are nations that have a very key role to play when it comes to who says what in East Africa. Yes.
Yes.
So when they meet and they are having an agenda, it's very important that as Kenyans we realize the unity. The unity and the commitment to push one of us to the African Union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Museveni, he was proving not to be a hard nut to crack in as far as this is concerned. So the two gentlemen had to approach him because his vote is quite important as well.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. Museveni has been, we've had some history about him, which is not so good when it comes to issues to do with democracy. However, when you meet him, he's one person who can give you a vote and not just a vote.
Yeah.
Many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so on the front page of the People Daily here, 2.1 billion shillings for schools cut. That is what's making the splash. At least there is some, it's not so good. Sagging under heavy weight of what have you, the ministry had to make some drastic changes in the budget cuts. This most likely is going to affect the education system.
True.
Yeah.
I think the government is doing less when it comes to investing in education, which is basically what will drive the future generations in our country.
Yeah.
So when you get a budget cut off, it simply tells us that we are doing very badly. Yes.
Some case of impunity here. Before I come to another story, there is a story here of untouchable rogue city driver. The story here of this driver here. His name is Paul Kiere. Bypass Trans-Sacco driver Paul Kiere is spotted ushering passengers onto his matatu. Is accused, according to police officers at Spring Valley Police Station, who claim that they have been unable to track him since July 2022. After, while driving another matatu belonging to Trans World Sacco, he knocked down and seriously injured a mother who ended up spending months in ICU.
Yes.
Police are not able to track him, but the media is able to track him.
And that's why I say the media should be taking the work of the police in tracking. Because how do you fail to track a driver where yet the vehicle is registered, the route is known, the Sacco has its officials.
Yes.
How do you fail to track him?
To track him. This is what it is. What the president's daughter desires. All right, Rishalin, and of course with the televangelist Benny Hinn last weekend at the Nyayo Stadium. What the president's daughter desires. You can take a look at that story on page 12. Allow me to leave it at that. Okay, moving forward, we all know social media. And moving on to the front page of the Standard newspaper, the drugs disaster. This is what we have on the front page of the Standard newspaper here, the drugs disaster. Data from government reveals the war against drug and alcohol abuse is far from over. The risk of youth getting trapped in the addictions is more real than many have imagined. From the figures Deputy President ought to take fight to the coast and Nairobi, not just his central Kenya backyard. I mean, for how long? For how long?
I think I think the regulations on drugs are set. However, those responsible for ensuring that drugs don't engulf our youths are sleeping. Because even when you go to the village, the chiefs in the village are not able to regulate the illicit brew, which is illegal. And that only tells you how far as a country we need to go in ensuring that we bring down the drugs menace. Yes.
From an intellectual point of view, what is an illicit brew?
It is illicit.
It is illicit.
It is illegal. It is not wanted. It is not fit for human consumption. And that is what the government needs to look at. If the government is not able to regulate the production of that product, then we are in trouble.
Yeah, we are in trouble.
Yes.
And there are some figures here. If you can look, the national rate is at 2.5%. We have got 4.8%. Taking a look at what we really have in different categories. You can take a look at, we have got different figures. And now there's a conference happening currently in Mombasa on the fight against drug menace, mostly in the coast region. And there you have it. Hustlers raise concerns over new health scheme. The non-salaried workers wonder what tool will be used to determine how they need to contribute to the scheme. That has been pushed to 30th of June under the new scheme. Every Kenyan shall apply to the new health scheme by June 30th, while deductions shall commence on 1st of July. And now, some of the statistics is that salaried people shall remit pay of 2.75% of their gross pay to the scheme, contributing to be made monthly, while self-income earners shall pay an annual contribution capped at 2.75%. How about any person above 25 years will be able to pay the scheme regardless of if they are income earners or not? That is what we have here. So, yeah, this has faced a lot of, some court battles, but now here we are now.
That is insane. That is insane. How do you expect a person who does not have an income to pay?
Yeah.
How do they pay? Yet they don't have money. They are not earning. They are struggling to survive. So I think we are not practical when putting some laws into place as a government.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's head over and see what's happening on the front page of the Daily Nation. On the Daily Nation, this is what you have. Budget graft. This is it. Budget graft on the front page of the Daily Nation. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta said the government loses 2 billion shillings daily to theft. And now on the front page, the scandal is that the country already living beyond its means. Watchdog reports have continued to lay bare wanton wastage of brazen looting over the years, as unscrupulous officials collude to inflate national and county budgets with monies earmarked to be stolen, enriching a few elite and burdening a majority of Kenyans with punitive taxes. This is what you have here. You can take a look at what's on the highlight of this particular headline. 3.35 billion shillings in terms of amount paid to non-existent staffers in counties between 2013 and 2022. 35 billion shillings. What about 5.7 billion shillings? Billions lost annually goes to workers by the national government, and 1.4 billion shillings amount paid in commitment fees on undrawn government loans. And lastly, 1.5 billion shillings month amount by which salaried of state officers paid through the consolidated fund services were inflated. This is what you have. Budgeted graft.
Budgeted graft. I remember when the president was taking the oath of office, he said that immediately he puts the Bible down, all the cartels shall be gone. But we are talking of a budgeted graft. When we are looking at a period in time when we are, as a nation, going to make the budget for the incoming financial year.
Yeah.
And those are the same people who are budgeting this graft. They are inflating the costs of goods. They are inflating the costs of services that are going to be offered by the government in a bid to fatten their stomachs. And that is very, very saddening. You put together those figures, you realize that 35 billion, 5.7 billion, 1.4 billion, if you put them together, you add them together, you will realize that we can even do our roads properly. We can we don't need to cut the education budget. We need to invest that money somewhere else. So I think, in my own opinion, the president needs to look at these issues because they are going to form the downfall of his legacy as a statesman.
Perfect. Succession, Raila allies condition for Kalonzo Musyoka ahead of 2027. Some politicians allied to opposition chief Raila Odinga have issued Wiper boss Kalonzo Musyoka with a fresh mandate and fresh demands rather, should he wish to earn their support for his 2027 presidential bid. Among them, a demand for him to start campaigning and participating in street protests, which have sparked outrage across the eastern region counties of Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni, where Mr. Musyoka commands unwavering loyalty.
Yes.
Okay, that is it. I don't know how it's going to pan out. Okay, Museveni hosts Ruto and Raila. Of course, we've been seeing that coming across from social media. We'll be taking a look at that pretty fine. They look so happy in his Kisozi rural home. That is what's happening. We'll be taking a look at that and much more when we come back after this break. Please stay with us. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. Now, the question and the story that is making headlines so far is this that has been here. The president, this is on the President William Ruto's X handle or Twitter handle. He was there yesterday at Kisozi, Kenya and Uganda. He said, according to the caption, is that Kenya and Uganda are committed in deepening of the long-established diplomatic and economic ties between our two countries. This relationship includes bringing all the East African community nations closer in their ultimate goal to form the East African Political Federation. This is what you have here. And the president was actually the Banyankole cows for President Museveni, and there is also with the position that is ODM leader and Azimio principal, that's Raila Odinga, this Museveni here, President William Ruto and Raila Odinga in the middle. It continues therein. I think that's the end of it. That was posted there. You can take a look at that photo. And this left many Kenyans talking in as far as the quest for the AU chairperson post is concerned. And that is it, the three gentlemen. So that brings a clear picture of really who they were. But there is a coincidence. Can you spot a coincidence in this photo? What can you see? How can you describe this photo?
I can see two gentlemen who are in blue, and one who is having a very big shirt. And all of them are holding the
herding stick.
The herding stick.
Right.
And that is a thought that, and they're all trying to discuss something, and they're trying to put in together their minds, trying to strategize on there's a topic that they're all having in mind.
Yes.
Yes.
I can also talk of something. The two, that's President William Ruto and ODM Raila Odinga, are in all counter suits.
Yes.
All of them are holding the
But looking at President Ruto from this side, you won't say that it's a counter suit, not unless you turn the picture. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
From this photo, all of them again are holding the walking stick.
Yes.
Right hands.
Yes.
Most probably. Right.
Yes.
So.
And the candidate is in the middle.
In the middle.
Candidate is the middle.
So what does really show? I mean, if you look at Museveni with his signature hat and all that, there must be a lot of discussion happening here, and we all know what's really happening. This is on President William Ruto's page. How about we head over on to Raila Odinga's page? This is what was on his Facebook page. He posted this yesterday, and the it continues to say that, let me just put this, the caption says that several days ago I accepted an invitation from President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda for a joint meeting with President William Ruto today to discuss the deepening of regional integration within East Africa and the East African community. Crucially, at the urging of President Museveni, we also discussed my candidacy for chairperson of the African Union Commission. I am very grateful to President Museveni for strongly endorsing my candidacy and to President Ruto for fully backing it. We took time out of our busy engagement to visit President Museveni's Wanderers Cattle Farm in Kisozi. This is where the gentlemen were. And again, the gentleman is in the middle, the candidate in the middle, President William Ruto, far right, and Museveni.
And you know, this takes us off from the normal meetings that presidents normally have in State House. And you can see how these gentlemen have brought this into a fitting environment.
Yes.
Fitting environment where there are no cameras looking at them. They are free to walk, talk, express themselves.
Yes.
And I think that is good statesmanship.
This is good statesmanship.
Yes.
Let's just take a look at some of the photos for the benefit of those who are not able to see that. We have Raila Odinga there. And again, the two gentlemen, perhaps they are now working for that official meeting with President Kaguta Museveni. Listening pensively, that is President William Ruto and Raila Odinga there. Again, continuing now the three gentlemen as they walk towards the farm. And finally, yes, that is it. So according to Raila Odinga, he was also seen over the weekend in Namibia during the president, that is Hague Geingob, who passed on and there. This has raised a lot of discussion on social media of the past couple of hours when it surfaced. But most importantly, how do you see how it's going to change the entire narrative in as far as the East African community integration is concerned? When you have got three gentlemen coming together, how do you see it panning out?
I think it's a good start, because the gesture that this gentleman, the sign that they have sent out is that we need to be united, not only as countries, but as a region. And I think the rest of the states should be following suit.
Yeah.
We should be inviting South Sudan, we should be inviting Rwanda, Burundi to be on the table so that we can have a strong, united East African region. Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is what it is. And we'll continue to see a lot of discussion as far as this is concerned. But does this really stop this gentleman from having, domestic affairs and left, right, and center in as far as politics is concerned? Yes, this is a continental matter. But does this really stop them from having, domestic affairs, the brotherly rivalry?
Every state, we normally say in law that it is sovereign, and it stands to do the things that they so wish to do in their states according to their own constitutions. And as such, then it means that every state will differ from the other based on the ideas that they both share. So that rivalry will always be there. But how I wish that it could be positive, because we need to compete in terms of economic affairs. How can we strengthen our democracies within our individual states? How can we look at bringing services, technology, embracing technology in our member states, so that those things can be of benefit to the individual citizens of the specific member countries. Okay. Yes.
Advance Mundalo joining us on set. You're stuck on Thika Road. Are you the one who was causing that traffic on Thika Road? Tumekupata leo, bro. This is no. This is where we are. Where's Thika Road? Onchweri.
Yes.
We got him, right?
Yes, we got him.
We got you. So you are the one who was causing all this.
Somewhere in Pangani.
Somewhere in Pangani here. Are you the one who was causing?
Yeah.
Or you didn't have an outrider today?
No, I didn't have outriders because we stopped being the ruling party.
Okay.
Somehow.
So what happened? What changed?
No, I think cars just did what sometimes they choose to do. They choose to just stop and remind you that they need a bit of attention.
How does it feel?
Very bad.
No longer with an outsider.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but it's the nature of our governance. That's why we are a democracy.
Yes.
That some will, like even today, in 5 years' time, another time, again this season will pass. We'll have other people.
Yes.
That's the beauty of democracy.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Mundalo, it's been a while. I mean,
it's been a while.
A lot of things have been happening across the country, and
Sure.
you have to come with a bag full of goodies. You will share with us.
I'm not sure that I have a bag full of goodies. I think you should be having the bag full of goodies.
I don't think so.
Because you have still remained in government.
You did throw that back to me. You did just throw that back to me. We were just taking a look at what we have on the front pages. Of course,
yes.
We are done with that. And again, I'll give you a benefit of 1 minute each. The drug disaster, this is according to the government issue here, the issue of drug menace in the country. Let's talk about this. What do you make of this pretty fast before you continue?
I think that the drug issue is a reality that we have to face, and somebody has to fix this problem. Because especially as a generation of young people, you look at it and you realize we have a huge chunk of us today that are not productive just because of these drugs. And so on that one, I applaud the efforts of the Deputy President, because I have been to the central part of Kenya severally on meetings where the Deputy President has been there. And the clarion call on drugs has really, he has insisted on it, he has kept at it, even despite having a lot of back and forth, he has insisted that this is something that has to be solved. And I agree that without that, then we might not be having the next generation, because you know the effects of drugs. Most of us become unproductive and so forth and so forth. So I agree that it's a reality and we have to deal with it, but even as we deal with it, we must take, somebody must always pay, somebody must be taken to account. Let us not always just fight and stop it there. There are people who are peddling these drugs. We have people who are selling these drugs to the young people. And of course, we must also not run away from the reality that the issues of unemployment are sending young people into depression, and the only place they are finding solace is also the drugs. So even as we do that, we must also try and solve the problems that are bequeathing this generation. Because you see, we are a generation that we're told when we go to school and we become disciplined, we will find good jobs and our lives will be okay.
Absolutely.
The moment that does not become a reality, then it's highly likely that we start sinking into drugs.
Very good. On the front page of the Daily Nation here, this budgeted graft, we just talked about it a while ago. This is as part of the budgeted graft. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta said that the government loses 2 billion shillings daily due to graft. And now, according to the Daily Nation, this is budgeted graft, quote unquote, according to me. So money is lost, and some of them are not accounted for, which means they're deliberately put in some corner somewhere for them to be used, much as they're not budgeted for. On the front page, what do you make of this?
I have not really interacted with that story, so I don't know the
It says that with the country living beyond its means, watchdog reports have continued to lay bare wanton Western job brazen looting over the years, as unscrupulous officials collude with to inflate national and county budgets with monies earmarked to be stolen, enriching a few elite and burdening a majority of Kenyans with punitive taxes.
That is true, and it has happened over time and over governments, that we have people who just, we have chunks of money that are put in specific places that is not very beneficial, but it's just supposed to go to people's pockets. I think I would look at the positive side of the story. The positive side of the story, it's now that is something we are having a conversation over, because that is the first thing we need to do to start solving a problem, because it has been happening and no one has been talking about it. The moment it starts making it to the headlines like this, then we start knowing, like I can be able to see the specific amounts there. So we can now be able to have a follow trail and see this was in the papers, and therefore what has been done about it. Because somebody, again I go back to what I said on the drug issue, somebody has to be put to account. Because we cannot be in a situation where we just say there is corruption. We are getting to a point where we are almost accepting that it's okay for us to be corrupt. We just want us not to be very corrupt. We are almost getting to that point. So it's important that somebody is put to account. Somebody has to answer. If we are finding those budgets and those budget time, because these budgets go through very many stages, including the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, including the Budget Committee. So somebody somewhere must be able to put to account. That is the only way we avoid this in future.
All right. So gentlemen, after this and what's happening here, we can say that the campaign is on. And of course, as per the story, Musalia Mudavadi, that's on the front page of the Star. Probably, Onchweri, if you can just take a look at what's on the front page of the Star, just read it out loud, kindly.
Key Raila allies to land state jobs in Ruto deal. And then we have Raila's road to AU.
Yes.
Yes, the plan is that he will be nominated by President William Ruto, and then Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi will lead the campaign.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you have Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi leading the campaign, so can you say it's a done deal? Onchweri, now that you've taken the headline, can you say it's a done deal?
I can't really say that it's a done deal because you need to get the heads of state to endorse him. And remember, the manner in which these elections are conducted is, first of all, by consensus. And then you have to be, the candidate has to be nominated by the member states. So we are heading in the right direction. When you bring in Musalia Mudavadi, who is equally, sometimes back he was even a presidential candidate, he has the muscle to go out in Africa and bring back the vote to Raila. So as at now, I can't really tell you that it's a done deal up until it's done.
Up until it's done.
Yes.
But when you have the likes of Museveni now in the box, and of course, Raila Odinga said that Museveni actually agreed to support his candidacy as far as this is concerned. This is what Raila Odinga said, that I am very grateful for President Museveni for strongly endorsing my candidacy. This was one of his worries. But now he's confirmed that Mzee amekubali maneno. Advice.
I think that is very positive.
Yes.
Though it would be more positive coming from Museveni himself as well, from a political perspective. But when you just look at those photos, you know, there is when you visit somebody and they give you a cup of tea in their sitting room, it is normal. But when they start taking you to inspect their kettle,
yes,
then it means the relationship has gotten to a deeper level. So I think this actually shows how our relationship with Uganda generally is. I think we have gotten to quite a deeper level. And one of the biggest worries that we must have as we try to push Raila Odinga to this position is that we near need the entire backing of East Africa. Because even when you listened to former President Obasanjo, when he came and he was during that presser, he said it will be very important for East Africa to speak as one voice. Yeah. Because this is a race we go into as regions. It is important, and it has never happened that East Africa has taken that position. So it will not be advantageous for us to go into the race with a divided East Africa. So Raila Odinga needs the entire East Africa together for us to move forward. Yeah. And so I think what he's doing on the campaign trail is worth, and it's good enough. And as even the headlines continue reading that, you know, this is another way of a handshake. And you have to give it to us at Jubilee that we were able to see this early enough, that at some point everyone must be, all of us must help government deliver. And we were the first ones to say there exists a government and there exists a president. At that time we were really bashed and we were told no, there is no president, there is no government. I'm happy today, all of us are now reading from the same script, that there is a government, there is a president, and for instance, the candidature of Raila for the African Union Commission, it is a candidature of governments. It's not a candidature of individuals. So we can be able to see that the government of President William Ruto is delivering Raila Odinga as a candidate for Kenya. And that is how mature our democracy needs to be. So we are heading in the right path as a country, that we can actually have elections, finish with the elections, and move on as a country without sticking to the political quagmire that always holds us back and always tears our economy apart.
Onchweri must be asking, Jubilee, advise kindly, advise us.
Yes.
For clarification purposes, Jubilee, we have wrangles. We all know there is a problem.
Sure.
Is it the Kanini Kega Sabina Chege faction? Is it the Kioni faction? Which Jubilee are you talking about?
You see, yes, Jubilee, we have a bit of issues and they are court cases. Yes. But it doesn't need rocket science to understand that the entire Jubilee is on one side. We only have one person who is on the other side. So we only have Honorable Kioni who is on the other side alone. The entire neck of Jubilee, the members of parliament, all our MCAs, we have been constant in giving this, in putting up our mind and saying that, you know what, we did not win election, but we must be able to cooperate with government.
So which is the legitimate Jubilee you're talking about here?
Of course, the Jubilee that has the numbers, because politics is about numbers.
Which is?
With
a face on it.
With a face on it, that is the Jubilee that is led right now by the acting party leader, Honorable Sabina Chege.
Okay.
Yeah.
Onchweri, are you answered?
I cannot even talk on the issues which is happening on the house of my neighbor.
Yes.
Because we in ODM are very serious in grassroots mobilization. We want people to register as voters, as members.
Yes.
So that when we go to elect our leaders in the grassroots, we have numbers. And that is the main focus.
And congratulations to them. They now have the acting chair of the Center for Multi-Party Democracy from yesterday. The current acting chair for CMD is actually Honorable Siengo from ODM, taking over from Jubilee. So, and that is the kind of democracy.
When your neighbor's house is on fire, this is now siblings rivalry. When your neighbor's house is on fire, please just go and check what's happening.
we will bring water.
We'll bring water. All right.
Cool
now, let's come back home and talk about this.
Yes.
Raila Odinga really needed this one, but he cannot go it all alone.
Yes.
We have got Museveni and we have got President William Ruto here. You must get a nomination from your host nation.
Yes.
All right. Without this, then even Museveni would be relevant.
Yeah.
Yes, Onchweri.
Yes, as I was saying, you must get nomination from your state, and then you must be endorsed. And as you see from the headlines, additional factors is that there is to be considered regional representation.
Please just take that for the sake of viewers.
Yes, there is to be taken into consideration regional representation. And so as a region, as the East African region, it is important to bring these men together. I'd like to see a fourth person, a fifth person, perhaps President Paul Kagame. Salva Kiir, yes, of South Sudan,
Suluhu,
Samia of Tanzania, in that picture, speaking as one region, so that we are able to see the progress that we'll be making. And then we invite our counterparts from the south, from the north, from the east and the central to come and join us. From there, we'll be home.
Do we have an option as East Africa, generally? Let me start with you. Do you have an option?
I have not basically seen any. At this juncture, there is no even. I've not even heard of
anybody else declaring his
candidature. So this should be a unifying factor for all of us, not only in Kenya or in East Africa, but in the entire continent. That we agree as a continent, we speak one voice, and that is what President William Ruto has been preaching. That we as a continent, we can speak one voice and tell the West that we are Africa and anything in Africa is our business. Yes.
Advice?
Yes, there is possibility of, because I agree that I haven't seen anyone come out, but remember we have a whole year to do this, because this election happens next year. I think the biggest support I would want to also see is coming from Rwanda. From President Paul Kagame. The reason is because, as currently constituted, the African Union Commission's vice chair is actually from Rwanda. And I think that is the highest East Africa has ever gotten. So we would, that vice chair, we are yet to see whether she would be contesting for the chairmanship or not. And that's why it's so critical, the support of Rwanda, because that will therefore mean that we are consolidated then as East Africa. Because I was happy that the rumors that were coming up about former President Kikwete, he was able to clarify and say he is not running, and that was good enough. So consolidating this as East Africa is the first hurdle we need to skip. Then the second thing is to be able to consolidate ourselves as even the British colonies in Africa, so that we are able to come together. Because we must also be cognizant of the reality that the Pan-African agenda largely in Africa has rarely been an East African conversation.
Yeah.
East Africa has most of the time stayed away from the Pan-African agenda. For the very first time, I think President Ruto has come very high compared to any other former president
push that button
on pushing the Pan-African agenda. The Pan-African agenda has always been looked at more or less like a West Africa ideology. We have rarely even had Pan-African conferences happening in East Africa. I think that for the first time we'll be having one in Kenya in July at the Kenya School of Government. So the Pan-African agenda has not really been an East African agenda, and therefore our campaign must be about 10 times more than the West Africans, because they already are consolidated in some way. They already speak from one voice in some way. But then we give it to the experience of Raila Odinga, and we also give it to the fact that he has been able to be here for a while. He has interacted with most of the leaders who are there, and therefore they would be able also to judge him from what he can offer more than just being another East African. So I think that will also be able to speak it out. I also like the choice of President Ruto in Honorable Mudavadi being the one to do the shuttle diplomacy, for the reason that, one, he is solid and he is seasoned. He's a name you will go to a government out here and they would easily interact with. You know, again, your name and credibility is very important, because when you take a political novice, you might be very big in Kenya but very small in Africa. So we need somebody who is can be big in Kenya and recognizable in Africa. And I think in the government of President Ruto, I think no one does it better than...
The reason why I ask whether East Africa we have an option is because that when you look at the other regions, they've had an opportunity. Musa Faki is getting out. Now, East Africa, we've not had that opportunity. So when you go to other regional blocks, they've had a fair share, or let me just say a taste of it. But East Africa, no. President Uhuru Kenyatta almost declared his candidacy, but as politics would be, it's like going to war. The first person to fire that shot is more likely to hit the target. But we have no option. All other regions do not have an option but to give East Africa this one.
That is true. That is true. And I like the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta realized that he is now, let me say, time bad, because Raila has declared it. And Obasanjo has come to basically tell Raila that you should run. I like the fact that there is some form of humility and unity in President Uhuru Kenyatta to just look at it and support his brother. And that is what we need to see as a country going forward.
I'm looking at a situation where when you saw Obasanjo in the country, and that press conference did not happen somewhere official. It was at Raila Odinga's residence. What does that really show you? And now again, this is happening at Kisozi, in his residence.
Yes, and that's why I said that these things have, the relationships that have been built by this gentleman, this statesman, it has gone to a deeper level whereby you don't just need to come to State House. I need to welcome you to my house.
Some under mango tree somewhere.
Yes, so that we can even breathe the fresh air from the trees, so that we can be free to speak and iron out any issues that are affecting us or may hinder us from reaching or getting the ultimate goal. So for Obasanjo to come from Nigeria and straight to Raila's residence speaks a lot of volumes.
Do you think former president was how? Let me put it, kwa lugha ya street, alichezewa rough? Because it was also meant to declare his candidacy.
I think it's a political process.
A difference of a day or two or something?
Yes. It is a political process, and we must give it to him that Raila Odinga has been our political genius in this country for a while. I think the only place where that ability of being genius keeps running away is when it comes to the last stab at the presidency. I think that is the only place. Otherwise, in all other matters, we have seen Raila Odinga be the political genius that we know. And so it's also true that it might have just been a political strategy, which again is okay, because in a political process, you must be able to make political decisions. So it's highly likely that also it's Raila Odinga knew very well that former president would be able to declare, and so the one who pulls the trigger first is the one who has the shot. So politically, it was a genius move.
Yeah.
And Raila has always been able to do this, because you can be able to see that kind of meeting that is even happening on those photos. It's not an ordinary meeting.
It's not an ordinary
It's not an ordinary meeting. Yeah. I think he's trying to portray to the other contenders and even the other presidents that as East Africa, we are speaking from one voice as neighbors, as brothers, as sisters, not as state. You know, there's a way you can make it so official. Yeah, if you go to State House and you have those, those kind of very official meetings where people have, that would also be able to suffice. But you see, when you do it this way, you are showing the others that, you know what, as East Africa, we are a solid block, and we are neighbors, we are brothers, we are sisters.
Yeah.
And we are actually asking you guys to support us have these, because we are together. Yeah, I think it speaks more than if you did it from a very official perspective. Me having tea with you in Java shows that we are good friends. But me having tea with you at your home makes us brothers.
Karibu nyumbani bana. Kuja to kule lunch.
Exactly, and I think that was...
He's always proud of his animals. I mean, you look at him, you can see. Who else? True, we don't have this. I mean, he's proud of this. But then, what do you think East Africa is going to bring on board? Because we've not had this position before, again. If anything, 1 year down the line, Raila Odinga declared as the winner and is going to chair that for 4 years. So what is he going to bring on the table? Another peculiar statement. What is another question that is going to bring to East Africa, if not continentally? Onchweri.
Yes, the position itself is prestigious. And it brings with it a lot of respect, not only for the individual person, but for the state. And out of the many things that will be fronted, perhaps to the West, to be considered, that respect that has for some time been missing from the West will be key. And Kenya will be seen as the champion and the forerunner of such kind of a respect. And that is one thing. With it comes the grants to do with the developments within the continent, and that's a good thing moving forward as a continent, because when the statesman in the person of Raila will be going forward to try to convince or lobby for funds to come to Africa, I think Kenya will be considered as one of the beneficiaries when it comes to such grants and loans. And there are so many other things that the position brings with it. It's prestigious. Yes.
Okay. I want us to take a look at this photo. Take a look at this photo. How would you analyze this? Advice. How would you analyze this photo?
My analysis of that photo is of brothers who have come a long way. My analysis is of a father and a son. My analysis is of that of contenders who once together sought the ticket of ODM for presidency of this country. That is in, is it 2007?
Yes.
Yes. My analysis is of one person who knows that the other was able to be taken to the ICC on his head. Yeah? And so these are people who know each other from way back. These are brothers who understand each other from way back. So finally they have a point of convergence. They have a point where they can be able to really synergize and work together. And you can be able to even see from that body language, everyone looks very comfortable. Everyone looks very comfortable in their skin. And even their dress code almost goes similar. You can
that's what I asked Onchweri. All of them are in Kaunda suits. You
can almost see that Raila Odinga has donned the traditional Kaunda suit that is now characteristic of President William Ruto. That would be how I
think has had this for quite some time.
How I look at it.
Yes.
Of course, whichever way, the choice to wear it on that particular day also speaks a lot.
Coincidentally.
It's I know you might want to make it coincidental, but those of us in politics say politics doesn't have coincidences. In politics, everything is meant to be the way it is. And I would also just want to also answer the question that you asked about what comes to the table.
Yes.
And in my view, it is more about what Raila brings to the table. And to me, Raila brings three things. One, Raila is seasoned in elections in Kenya. And as Africa, we have quite an election debacle that we keep dealing with.
Yeah.
I think he is one of the best arbiters, therefore, to be able to just canvass this whole story. Right. Because he understands matters elections. He has been in and out of these elections, I think, 5 times now. He has the experience of winning, losing, supposedly being stolen,
yes,
and all that.
Okay.
So he has that experience. Number 2, remember, Raila has chaired the AU Infrastructure Commission, and we have a big infrastructure problem in Africa. So I think he brings that to the table with quite an understanding. And number 3, and lastly, I think Raila brings the aspect of the young people on this table, because African Union has not been very loud on the problem of the young people in Africa. I think he does bring this because when Raila was Prime Minister, it is the reason why we had National Youth Council in Kenya. He is actually the one who brought the National Youth Council that serves up to today. I would want to see him bring that synonym to African level.
Gentlemen, allow me to stop at that particular point. But there is something I want to tell you. When you see these two gentlemen here, the body language, walking together, they say beggar kwa beggar. Beggar kwa beggar. They've worked together before. Very well. He was a member of ODM. We all know that.
Yeah.
During campaigns, we all know what happened. He was with Uhuru Kenyatta during campaigns, during the referendum. They've worked together. So they call each other brothers. Whatever you do, always remember brotherhood is what matters. Family first. Everything else is second. Thank you so much for watching. Advice Mundalo, National Youth Chair, Jubilee Party. He said that the legitimate Jubilee Party will discuss about some of the time. All right. Advocate of the High Court, I go Frak. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Asante sana. Short and sweet. My name is Victor. We are crossing over to Zinga.